We're gonna do a quick tour of a 3-year-old food forest. So out here I have nursery beds with trees that are gonna be planted on other projects and a whole bunch of crazy berry mess. There's more, a few hundred trees elsewhere. I've got the greenhouse down, most of the way down for the winter. But this is the Kiwi entrance. This is in Ontario, Eastern Ontario, south of Ottawa, Zone 5B. And right off the bat, we have kiwis in bloom. This is a hardy kiwi. They're about this big, hairless, nice for eating right away. And we've got blackberries in bloom. There's blackcurrant down there, gooseberries over there, lots of rhubarb. I'll do a quick show over here. Rhubarb is something I used as a weed suppressant. So I planted them anywhere where at the time I was having weeds encroaching. So no weeds were going from my lawn here through there to get into the garden. We have black raspberries, lots of production there. We're gonna see those again from another angle shortly. Step through, these are butternut trees, bunch of apple trees over there. Getting ready for the nursery. So we come into the trellis. Again, we have the blackberries. That blackberry bush needs to move. It's just a little bit too big for there, and it was only meant to be temporary. We have black raspberries that are also growing all the way over to here, all the way up 10 feet high. There's always a train, every video. And I need to finish building the supports for this trellis archway, but this is what it's looking like. It's this nice enclosed, really cool, like temperature cool, and you can see how much fruit it sets, and it does that the whole way along. And you can see even going back further up, there's some further up in there. Really productive crop. Delicious berries. I've already been picking asparagus out of here. It's going to leaf now. People talk about asparagus being a pain to grow. I grow it everywhere. You'll see these ferns all throughout the garden. This one's getting ready to put on flowers and go to seed. I just planted them everywhere. This bed is annual bed. I didn't get in the garden last year because I had knee and quad surgery. So this whole garden was neglected last year. I'm gonna turn over here, my hand, to make people less dizzy. So we come through here. I have my pond, which was holding water with an old pond liner, or with an old pool liner, but it has a few leaks in it, so I'm gonna replace it with an actual pond liner this year. Turn it from a free project to a bit nicer one. I'm gonna build the waterfall again, put that back for enjoyment purposes, and my town uses chlorine in the water. They still use the type that evaporates, so I fill this with water, let it evaporate, and then I pump from here to water my garden, and it likes it much more. Over here we have, this is a little mulberry that just went in. It's gonna be about 6 feet tall. Stinging nettle. I'm gonna take this patch out, but I harvest it for teas, harvest the greens. It's a tasty green, really nutritious. Yes, I touched it. No, I'm not burning. I've gotten used to it, and these ones are also very mild. There's a pear tree going in over there in a moment. But let's look at this main area. I'm just mulching again, trying to recover from a year of full neglect. And as we walk in, we've got a cherry bush on the right. This is its first year producing fruit. It's dropping a lot of the fruit. That's okay. Everyone around here is having fruit drop from the cherries. But I am gonna get my first fruits off of it. Not enough for a pie, but enough to enjoy some and to make a few tarts. More apples for nursery. These ones got eaten down over the winter. Something got through my fence and ate them down to just above the graft. So they're growing up again for a second year. I have buffalo berry here. An apple that just got moved last year, mid-season. Not a great time to move a tree, but it did. And it's putting on its first fruit ever right now. That one's Wolf River. So it can produce up to like really big apples, like big enough you can make a pie with one apple. We've got more asparagus here. This was all grown from seed 3 years ago, and it's like nice big, obviously very ready to have harvested this year. I harvested some this year and some last year. There's asparagus coming up all through back there. We've got Haskaps. I just ate up pretty much all the fruit off of this one, actually off of all of them. They're like a cross between blueberry and raspberry in flavor. Aronia berry, I'm gonna put first fruits on this year, even though it's teeny tiny. It'll grow up to 6 to 8 feet tall. There's a bunch of perennial herbs in here, but I'm gonna start this one over because I didn't mulch it 2 years in a row, and last year I wasn't in here at all. So it got a big hit of just getting filled with weeds. So I'll separate some of the plants to restart them, but for the most part, I'm just gonna leave it be. I'm skipping over so much. There's so much between there and here, but by the time we get here, we see we've got, I need to do some weeding in here still. We've got asparagus, it's gone to fern. There's rhubarb all through here. There's a Haskap there. There's a Haskap here. I just ate, I think, all of the Haskaps off of this one too. There's another Haskap here between that Aronia berry and this Haskap. It'll eventually have to go. Lots of rhubarb. I'm just gonna break these back because it's my neighbor's tree there. This is is this one the Freedom or Liberty? I think this one's a Liberty apple. This is its first year producing fruit, and it is nicely covered in fruit. Every branch, possibly too much fruit set. I might thin some of it later. I think I got some over-pollination. We've got thornless blackberries, and they put on nice pretty flowers and lots of flowers. So you can see there's lots here. If I go down underneath, you can see it's already setting fruit from the previous flowers. So I'll have fruit fairly soon from that, and lots of it. This whole thing is just filled with it. I actually have been pulled about a dozen plants from the walkway here. Check. I can't get back here right now. I have to transplant more of these blackberries, but I have perennial onions. I have garlic that's kind of acting as perennial. The row of rhubarb continues all the way around here. I need to trim this maple down again. It just keeps coming up from the stump, and I just keep cutting it down. It's my neighbor's. I've got permission to cut it down, but it will just keep coming back. I cut it down, pop it on their side, and it's a apartment building, and he just takes it away once I take it down. In the back corner, there's more asparagus, another type of currant. This is elderberry. I had cut it down all the way to the ground for propagation this year, but it's already putting on flowers to do more berries. Some raspberries in here, some black raspberries, another elderberry. This is a Asian pear. So it'll eventually probably choke out this elderberry, but that's okay. I'll just cut it, propagate from it, move what's left. Over here, another nursery bed for the nursery of primarily apple trees. Again, rabbits got in here, ate them all down, so they're growing for a second year. I'll have to do some pruning to make them look nice. Another Haskap. This is a multi-graft. So I like apricots, I like some of the early cherries, and I like some of the early plums, but they get hit by frost almost every year, so I can't dedicate space to them. So they each got one place on this tree, which is primarily peaches. So there's, I don't know, a dozen peaches on it. It's its second year producing fruit, and nectarines. So the peaches have the top graft. They're gonna get everything from here up. It's gonna be primarily peach, and that's the most reliable producer in this climate for these stone fruits. And what else do we have going on here? There's some grapevines down there that are just sitting there for now. Here's another Asian pear. This is a bed of, it was annuals, but again, I didn't get to use it last year. And I didn't really use this one the year before, or I didn't tend to my garden the year before. I got too busy with other things, so I let it go to weeds and just harvested. So I have a little bit of making up to do. If I step down between these rows, again, we've got more of the black raspberries. They're one of my favorite fruits, so I'm happy to have lots of them. I am gonna have to plan their location a little bit and plan a space for them because they're encroaching in some of my annual space. But this is a 3-year-old food forest in Ontario, Zone 5B. This year, between this year and last year, for fruits that I've actually harvested, we have blackberry, black raspberry, raspberry, 3 types of currants, gooseberries. I think only 1 type of gooseberry, but maybe 2. Last year I harvested apricots, nectarines, sweet cherries. I did have 1 sour cherry last year. Peaches, Haskaps, elderberry, aronia berry, perennial onions, various perennial herbs, apples of a couple types, pears. I do have, there is a pear tree that is producing this year, aronia berry, I already said Haskaps, lots of asparagus, strawberries. I didn't mention strawberries, they're everywhere in here. I'm gonna snag another Haskap while I'm right here. Harvesting so many plants. Rhubarb by like many gallons of rhubarb. Lots of kiwis last year, grapes. I didn't show you any of the grapes. Stinging nettle, various medicinal plants, lots of mushrooms. Actually, I just found some mushrooms that they're not in the main food forest. They are out in this portion. I just dug this bed up yesterday and these popped up. And then there's more of them in here. These are nice big mushrooms, good for like a mushroom burger. That one's even bigger. They go in all the way back in there. So I'm gonna harvest all of those. Yeah, lots of production. And that's the stuff that will come back every year, even if I don't do anything. So if you are wanting to start something like this, but you're not sure what that will look like, if you have enough time, this is 3 years in. So I harvested most of the things that I mentioned on year 2. And the kiwi vine got a head start elsewhere and then came here. So it usually takes a few years longer to produce. But other than that, you're able to get a lot done in cold climates. And this takes minimal maintenance. Right now it's pretty ugly. This was kind of 2 years of neglect. And I've put about an hour and a half into it to this point to get it looking decent again. So plant some things, enjoy, feel free to ask questions, and enjoy the bounty of your harvest.